Here are the top stories of the news. Terrorists attack communities in Niger State, killing 5 residents and setting homes ablaze. Court sentences 5 terrorism convicts to various jail terms, including 20 years imprisonment. On the foreign scene, US and Iran announced suspension of attacks for 2 weeks as Tehran agrees to allow safe transit for vessels through the Strait of Hormuz. Good afternoon and welcome to Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. I am Femi Ojo. Rampaging terrorists on Tuesday attacked communities in Shiroro local government area of Niger State, killing at least 5 residents and setting homes ablaze. Over 160 assailants reportedly stormed the Bagana community on motorcycles, firing sporadically and using explosives to ignite buildings, forcing residents to flee in panic, according to reports. Over 160 terrorists invaded Bagna early this morning and were burning houses using explosives. 8 vigilantes who attempted to confront the attackers were injured and rushed to a nearby hospital. The terrorists had previously rustled cattle from Nada village on Monday rather, before turning their violence toward Bana. Confirming the attack, the Niger State Police Command spokesperson Wasiu Abiodun also confirmed the attack. Vice President Kashim Shettima has assured Nigerians that the security challenges facing the country would be surmounted. Speaking at the 2026 National Police Day Grand Parade and Procession in Abuja on Tuesday, Shettima said Nigeria will prevail. He pledged that the administration will build a police force that stands as a symbol of excellence, accountability, courage, and service. The Vice President further called on all Nigerians to cooperate with the police and other security agencies, emphasizing the importance of national security. He also tasked the leadership of the police to be responsive to the needs of all citizens, adding that the people must see the force as partners in preserving peace.
Professionalism and the restoration of public confidence. We will continue to support these reforms through sustained investment in training and capacity development, modern equipment and technology, improved intelligence and investigative capabilities, and better welfare and working conditions for police personnel. We are determined to build a police force that is well equipped, well trained, and well motivated to confront the complex security challenges of our time. We understand that no police force can rise above the value a nation places on its guardians. That is why our commitment is not rhetorical. It is practical, it is deliberate, and it is enduring. We shall continue to pursue the modernization of policing in Nigeria, not as an act of charity to the institution, but as an obligation to the nation. Let me also emphasize the importance of collaboration. Security is a shared responsibility. The safety of a nation cannot be outsourced to uniforms alone. I call on all Nigerians, community leaders, traditional institutions, religious leaders, civil society, and the private sector to work closely with the police and with other security agencies. When citizens and law enforcement stand on opposite sides of suspicion, insecurity thrives. This is why community-centered policing is a democratic necessity. The police must remain connected to the people, attentive to their concerns, respectful of their dignity, and responsive to their needs. And the people, in turn, must see the police not as a distant force, but as partners in the collective task of preserving peace.
A federal high court in Abuja on Tuesday sentenced 5 terrorism convicts to various jail terms, including 20 years imprisonment. The court also remanded another suspect who pleaded not guilty to terrorism charges. The federal government began a fresh phase in the mass trial of 500 suspects. Justice Emo Olajuwon remanded Babagana Umar into custody of the Department of State Services after he denied a 3-count charge bordering on alleged support for Boko Haram. was also alleged to have had information about the whereabouts and activities of Boko Haram, which would have led to their apprehension and prosecution, but did not disclose to any law enforcement agency. In a separate case before the same court, Justice Olajuwon convicted Yusuf Tuga Abacha 20 years imprisonment after he pleaded guilty to professing membership of Boko Haram, holding information about the member group and participating in attacks. And staying with politics, a former presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar has warned President Bola Tinubu that reliance on palliative measures will not guarantee his re-election in 2027 elections. Atiku stated this in a statement issued on Tuesday by Senior Special Assistant on Public Communications Frank Shaibo. The former vice president said the distribution of food items such as rice and spaghetti cannot replace public trust or determine electoral outcomes. The ADC chieftain argued that the government's control of key state institutions has not translated into confidence, but rather anxiety about the position and the electorate. He also raised concerns about the alleged attempts to weaken opposition parties through internal crises and judicial intervention, accusing the government of using state power against opposition figures. A faction of the African Democratic Congress ADC, led by its 2023 presidential candidate Maybe Kachiko, has announced plans to convene a national convention and constitute an interim leadership to manage the party's affairs. The announcement was made in Abuja by the group's spokesperson Norman Obina during a media briefing following what he described as an emergency national executive committee meeting. Obina said the meeting was attended by state chairmen and other NEC members and was convened to address the party's ongoing leadership crisis. According to him, one of the key outcomes of prior alternative dispute resolution efforts was an agreement that the party will hold a national convention to produce new leadership. A process, he said, has yet to be implemented nearly 2 years later. The spokesman further accused the former national leadership on the RAF Wosu of attempting to unlawfully transfer control of the party to individuals who were not members, while also trying to sideline existing state chairmen. They also dissociated the party from the David Mark Landon WC and all members of the so-called coalition, adding that all actions taken by them in the name of the ADC are not binding on the party.
INEC eventually initiated an alternative dispute resolution mechanism to resolve the issues within the ADC. Now, 7, the key outcome of the ADR, which was signed by both parties, was that the ADC would immediately go into a convention to produce a new leadership. 8, this has not been done almost 2 years after, but instead of attempted to illegally transfer, instead he attempted to illegally transfer leadership of the party to people who were not members of the African Democratic Congress. 9, David Mark-led leadership put in place measures to remove all the state chairmen of the party for the simple reason that they did not fit the mold of chairmen who could represent the elite. Now 10, we have filed 2 court cases challenging the illegality of their action prior to INEC's recent position. 11, in the absence of the National Working Committee since August 2022, the NEC, being a constitutional, valid and subsisting organ of the party, remains the only authority to speak on behalf of the ADC. Arising from an emergency NEC meeting held today, the 7th of April 2026, the NEC therefore resolved and states as follows. 1, we dissociate the ADC from David Mark, Rafa Lebeshala, Bolaji Abdullahi, Professor Sumbo, and all members of the so-called coalition who attempted to hijack our party, and state that all actions taken by them in the name of the ADC are not binding on the ADC. 2, we dissociate the ADC from the claims of Nafi Gombe and firmly and unequivocally state that he has never held the position of deputy chairman of the ADC. 3, the ADC remains a party of and for all Nigerians, and not just for former political office holders and the elites.
In the meantime, the Ondo State chapter of the African Democratic Congress ADC has suspended its planned local government and state congresses following a directive by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC). The party disclosed this in a statement issued on Wednesday by State Chairman Wale Ademoyegun. According to the statement, the decision was taken in compliance with INEC's directive that political parties maintain the status quo pending the resolution of ongoing issues. The party has warned against any unauthorized gathering, noting that security agencies had been alerted to prevent activities that could disrupt peace within the party. Senator Yabo Obasanjo, a governorship aspirant in Ogun State on the platform of the All Progressives Congress APC, has held President Bola Tinubu's strong commitment to strengthening democracy and providing the requisite leadership to make the country great again. Obasanjo gave this commendation in a statement on Tuesday, in which she disclosed what transpired during her visit to Tinubu in Lagos. The former Commissioner for Health and Senator who represented Ogun Central between 2007 and 2011 described her meeting with the president as fruitful and memorable, as the discussion centered on leadership and the further development of the country. Speaking about her desire to succeed Governor Dakwa Abiodun in 2027, Obasanjo says she has been part of the political landscape of Ogun State for many years and understands the aspirations and challenges of the people. The National Association of Resident Doctors today suspend a planned strike after reaching an understanding with the federal government on key demands, including payment of outstanding allowances and improvement to doctors' welfare. The decision was taken after an emergency meeting of the association's National Executive Council, where members reviewed assurances from government representatives and resolved to give dialogue another chance. NARD said the suspension was informed by progress made in negotiations, particularly commitment on the prompt payment of salary arrears, hazard allowances, and steps toward resolving the issues around the medical residency training fund. Though association did not declare full resolution of the dispute, it noted that the government has shown renewed willingness to address the concerns. The NEC grants the federal government a 2-week ultimatum within which concrete, measurable, and verifiable steps must be taken to address all outstanding demands of the association. And elsewhere, the Academic Staff Union of University, ASU, University of Jos branch, has declared a total and indefinite withdrawal of services following the non-payment of March 2026 salaries and the exclusion of the end academic allowance from staff remuneration. A statement issued on Wednesday by the branch chairperson, Jobe Molus, the union directed all its members to immediately abstain from lectures, examination, and statutory meetings. Industrial action, which takes effect from today, complies with the resolutions of the union's National Executive Council and the branch Congress. ASU Unijo said the decision followed prolonged patience by members despite delays in salary payments. You're watching Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. We'll be right back after the break. Stay with